Hello viewers, welcome to this session on culinary tourism. After going through this session, you will be able to know the role of cuisines in the development of tourism, understand the concept of culinary tourism, study the scope, trends and future of culinary tourism, categorize the different types of culinary tourists and what they actually are motivated by to undertake culinary journeys. Culinary tourism or food tourism is the exploration of food as the purpose of tourism. It is now considered a vital component of the tourism experience. Dining out is common among tourists and food is believed to rank alongside climate, accommodation and scenery in importance to tourists. Let us take an overview of culinary tourism. Culinary or food tourism is the pursuit of unique and memorable eating and drinking experiences both near and far. Culinary tourism differs from agri-tourism in that culinary tourism is considered a subset of cultural tourism, that is, cuisine is a manifestation of culture, whereas agri-tourism is considered a subset of rural tourism. But culinary tourism and agri-tourism are symbiotically linked as the seeds of cuisine can be found in agriculture. Culinary or food tourism is not limited to gourmet food. Culinary tourism refers to trips made to destinations where the local food and beverage attractions are the main motivating factors for travel. According to the International Culinary Tourism Association (ICTA), culinary tourism is defined as the pursuit of unique and memorable culinary experiences of all kinds while traveling, but one can also be a culinary tourist exclusively. Eric Wolf, founder and president of ICTA, says that while many people think of culinary tourism as five-star restaurant experiences or fine dining with wine tasting, it truly has evolved into a broader sense, ranging from a street vendor to a high-class specialty restaurant. Wolf also considers gourmet tourism, wine tourism and spa cuisine as subsets of culinary tourism. According to County, as proposed by him in the year 2005, culinary tourism includes any tourism experience in which one learns about, appreciates and or consumes food and drink that reflects the local, regional or national cuisine, heritage, culture, tradition or culinary techniques. While ICTA in 2010 states that deliberate food travelers tend to spend approximately 50% and regular food travelers tend to spend 1/3 of their travel budget on culinary activities. The report on culinary tourism niche market by Caribbean Market Research claims that food is not usually the main consideration for travel, even though people do consider the food part while deciding where they have their holidays. Let us take a look at the scope of culinary tourism. Culinary tourism is a rapidly emerging niche market segment presently at its infancy stage, which has a short history ever since the 2000s. It has a great growth potential by its own as well as combined with other tourist activities such as adventure, health, medical, winter, agro and cultural tours. Food being an unavoidable part of human existence, gastronomical experiences can be an added attraction to any type of tourism activity, apparently appealing to a wide range of customers. According to Shenoy, gastronomic tourists are more likely to be affluent, middle-aged or elderly couples, but not exclusively limited to any demographic or ethnic group. Dining out is one of the top 3 tourist activities and nearly 100% tourists eat out while traveling. Today, the culinary activities include food festivals, mega events, fishermen's and farmers markets, cooking schools, agro-tourism, wine and beer tasting and obviously restaurant dining. The popular culinary tourism destinations are France, Italy, California, whereas Croatia, Vietnam and Mexico are the emerging destinations. Let us look at a few trends in the culinary tourism experience. The first is the socio-cultural trend. Culinary tourism depicts the socio-cultural aspects of food as it is a significant mode of cross-cultural experience, as one can feel it on a sensory level rather than intellectual. Trend analysts and professional futurologists from Victoria University, Yeoman, in the year 2008 identifies a number of social trends shaping the interests of people in food tourism in the existing and emerging culinary tourism destinations. Yeoman observes that growing affluence and increasing disposable income of people results in increasing demand for prepared food, gourmet products, eating out, and food with health benefits, which pressurize the entrepreneurs to produce high quality and varied products. Another pressure is the changing demographics, projected to be more than 50% of aged people by 2015, according to Yeoman and his report in the year 2008. This will account for nearly 40% of leisure purchase, which strengthens the demand for health foods. But at the same time, individualism and diverse characteristics of different age groups will stipulate eating places to be adaptable to varying situations and tastes. Let us take a look at the technological trends. It is apparent that technology dominates every aspect of human existence, and it has a greater impact on food tourism as well. In terms of culinary tourism, technology impacts on two aspects. First are the customers who have instant access to emerging trends all over the world, which shapes their tastes and preferences of dining out, which is, in turn, pressurizing the food industry to be innovative and adaptive. Tourists are likely to plan their trips using online as well as print media, which provides wide options and choices, resulting in intense competition in the industry. In response, entrepreneurs are widely using technology to innovate and differentiate their business to withstand the massive competition. The second is the restaurant interactive multimedia order terminal. It provides a new experience. Also, the molecular gastronomy, which helps create innovative dishes, are good examples of technology adaptations in food industry. Let us look at the economical trend. Many countries, especially developing and underdeveloped, depend on tourism as their major source of revenue and foreign exchange. Culinary tourism plays a vital role in adding value to the destination, as most tourists appreciate local culture and cuisine. According to Shenoy, tourists in Caribbean countries spend 5 times greater than locals on food, which supports the view of ICTA that food tourists and regular tourists spend 50% and 1/3 of their budget respectively on food. Tourists are less likely to make cuts on their food budget, which will substantially favor the local restaurants, eating places, and the food industry and destinations economy as whole. Let us take a look at the political trends. Worldwide, political will to promote culinary tourism along with its supporting sectors like agro-heritage, wine and farm tourism. Many countries are actively developing and promoting culinary tourism, realizing its potential to contribute to the growth of national economy and agriculture. The strategic alliances and synergy of government and various institutions with medium-term plan to strengthen the competitiveness of agro, wine and culinary businesses and coordinate the entrepreneurs in culinary tourism are noticeable in many parts of the world. Other reasons for the growth of culinary tourism. In the last 4 decades, post the 70s has seen development in this form of special interest tourism. Not only has food tourism being recognized as a serious travel interest, but also being promoted by various countries as an attraction in the form of food shows and festivals, wine events and festivals, etc. Let us now take up the points regarded by Hall and Sharples in the year 2008 as the reason for the high level of public and private sector interest in food and tourism relationships. Gastronomy and cuisine-oriented tourists are perceived as high-yield markets. Food tourism can be linked with other visitor products such as cultural and natural heritage attractions, thereby providing a comprehensive offer. Also, rural areas that may otherwise be affected by economic restructuring are provided with an alternative: the development, maintenance, and/or even revival of local food products. Third, the urban neighborhoods or quarters can become attractive to visitors, especially those that specialize in particular ethnic food. A concentration of restaurants, cafes, and markets can bring character to the neighborhood. Let us take a look at who is a culinary tourist. Culinary tourism has grown to become a worldwide trend rather than just another attraction for holiday makers. The interest in food and foodways of different regions has motivated tourists to travel far and wide in search of authentic culinary experiences and knowledge. Anything concerning food and wine culture is usually met with great interest in the public and media. Indeed, wine and food production and consumption are widely acknowledged global phenomena dealt with by multinationals. Boniface, in his work in 2003, describes the characteristics of food and culinary tourists. Now, the food and culinary tourists are tourists who take part in the new trends of consumption. They are travelers seeking the authenticity of places they visit through food. They are concerned about the origin of the product. They recognize the value of gastronomy as a means of socializing, as a space for sharing with others, for exchanging experiences. Such tourists have higher average expenditure, they are demanding and appreciative, and they eschew uniformity. Therefore, gastronomy cannot become a bland and anonymous product. It must have personality, because otherwise it will become vulnerable, delocalized, and subject to adulteration. So, what are the different types of culinary tourists? Mitchell and Hall in 2003 studied such tourists on the basis of the level of interest and involvement of visitors in local food and cuisine at destinations. They identified 4 types of food tourists. In their research, Mitchell and Hall focused on the extent to which experiences with new foods would be an attraction, that is neophilia, or a barrier, which is neophobia. Neophilia or neophil was a term first used by writer Robert Anton Wilson to describe a particular type of personality characterized by a strong affinity for novelty, while neophobia is the fear of new things or experiences. According to Mitchell and Hall, there are 4 categories of culinary tourists: the gastronomes, indigenous foodies, tourist foodies, and familiar foodies. So, what are the motivations for culinary tourism? Although motivations can well explain the propensity of tourist behavior about the decision to visit a particular destination because of food, Mitchell and Hall advocated an experiential view of food tourism. The central concept of an experiential view is hedonic response of consumers. Holbrook and Hirschman regarded that decision making is not always based on rational choice. Rather, it is often the result of primary process thinking. It is to seek fun, amusement, sensory stimulations, and enjoyment from consuming products and services. The hedonic components are essential in pleasure-oriented consumptions, such as eating. Indeed, taste is multisensory. Individuals not only respond to multisensory impressions from external stimuli by encoding these sensory inputs, but also react by generating multisensory images within themselves. The understanding of motivation for the growth and development of culinary tourism can be studied from 2 perspectives: the consumer's side and the service provider's side. For the tourists or consumers, culinary tourism is one of the forms of recreation, while for the service providers, it is yet another avenue to revenue generating and brand building. Priscilla Boniface in the year 2003 encapsulates the various motivating factors that have been instrumental in the growth of culinary tourism as an upcoming form of special interest tourism. So, according to her, the first form is anxiety concerning safety of industrial, globalized and commodified food and drink, anxiety about wanting to celebrate through food and drink on holiday, needing comfort and escape through traditional and non-routine food, and nostalgia often appearing to help. Second is the need to show distinction, affluence and individualism. So special food and drinks acting as media and towards the objective of display to others, food and drink representing a common and transferable language between the everyday and the holiday. Third is the curiosity and wish for knowledge and discovery. So this is stemming from the fear about food and drink content and regarding general personal circumstance. To display education and superiority to others. Tourism time offers enough moment to obtain information and to be experimental. And the fourth is a need to feel grounded amid globalization. So visits to roots and countryside and to see how food is derived. Fifth is the requirement for sensory and tactile pleasure and for experience. So food and drink tourism offer these effortlessly. On the part of culinary tourism service providers such as the farm owners, local restaurants, vineyards and wineries, food tourism brings more footfalls, resulting in creating a strong rapport with the consumers, resulting in a stronger brand image. This enhanced tourist visitation further becomes instrumental in sustaining the business during lean months and seasons. These advantages have motivated several food tourism ventures all over the world. From the production perspective, a number of advantages of local food tourism can therefore be identified, particularly for small producers. Number one, it creates relationship with consumers. The opportunity to meet staff and see behind the scenes can lead to positive relationship with consumers. It may also lead to both direct sales and indirect sales through positive word-of-mouth advertising. Second, increased margins through direct sales to consumers where the absence of distributor cost is not carried over entirely to the consumers. Third is the increased consumer exposure to product and increased opportunity to sample product, and definitely not through the regular normal retail outlets. Fourth is build brand awareness and loyalty through establishing link between the producer and consumer and purchase of company branded merchandise. Fifth, for the producers, it also provides an additional sale outlet, especially for smaller producers who cannot guarantee volume or consistency of supply. Sixth is the marketing intelligence on products and customers. Producers can gain instant and valuable feedback on the consumer reaction to their existing products and are able to give trial new additions to their product range. Visitors can be added to a mailing list which can be developed as a consumer database to both target, market and inform customers. Seventh, educational opportunities. Visitors help create awareness and appreciation of specific types of food and food as a whole. The knowledge and interest generated by this can be expected to result in increased consumption. Let us now take a look at the future of culinary tourism. As food tourism is correlated with most of the other forms of tourism, socio-cultural, economic, technological and political impacts in most tourism sectors will affect the culinary tourism to a great extent. Due to increased competition, growing tourism price and other impacts, the industry in future will be more focused on leadership, organization and multifaceted trade linkages and enhanced communication with all stakeholders. The enormous growth and multifaceted nature of tourism industry will call for strengthened research, education and training to establish and promote new culinary products and to meet rising demand for skilled human resource. For these initiatives, tourism industry definitely needs source of funding, especially from government. The industry will establish extended strategies to encourage funding from government as well as private partnerships. In future, the governments are more likely to extend the agricultural subsidies than at present due to the prospected increase in return on investment in tourism and agriculture. Let us take a look at culinary tourism from the year 2015 to 2020. The above mentioned trends has made a shift in the total culinary tourism system. As Yeoman indicated, people aged over 50 were the most populous age group by 2015. This increased the demand for package holidays, second homes, health facilities and organic healthy food, which will influence the destination development strategies. The survey conducted by the North American Lifestyles Journal is a proof that older population prefer to travel as they have more leisure time and hold a good amount of disposable wealth. A specialized tourism sector focused on health-oriented holidays had begun to emerge by the end of 2015 in response to the increasing market size of the above said age group. On the contrary, the shrinking population in Western countries will definitely have greater impacts in global tourism industry. Hall indicates that many developed countries are falling in population by nearly 10%, and as majority of global tourism recipients come from these countries, such a demographic drift will bring significant implications in the industry. In addition, rising living standards, changing values and priorities based on age, sex, education and marital status will also reshape the whole tourism industry. Changing lifestyles and employment pattern in Western countries will result in more short holidays, affecting the volume of long-haul destination choices. Culinary tourism has emerged as an individual industry. The equipments used has been modernized and innovative methods were used to keep the costs down. Paperwork was definitely reduced and most of the transactions and dealings were done electronically. The restaurants adopted local cuisines and wines, proving their worth in the development of local culture. Now let us take a look at culinary tourism around the year 2020. The research carried out by the Future Foundation in 2008 indicated that the ratio of working married women has increased from a quarter in the 1950s to 75% at present. This will lead to an increase by 5% in the coming years, which indicates a beginning of shift in eating out trends. Communication is vitally important as it would help in assisting the growth of the industry. Research is vitally important due to less knowledge about the culinary tourism. By 2020, website technology has developed to its peak, when an online knowledge arsenal is formed to shape upcoming technologies and knowledge about culinary tourism. Molecular gastronomy, which is the application of scientific and technology in the preparation and improvement of food, is common along with culinology, which is the combination of technology and gastronomy. Innovative combination of food is also possible. For example, artificial caviar or instantly frozen food with liquid nitrogen can be made with the help of molecular gastronomy. So the culinary tourism up to the year 2035. The ratio of married working women will increase by another 10% in the next coming years, which will result in remarkable habit of eating out ever than before to manage a work-life balance. In response to this, entrepreneurs will come up with more fast food options and culinary-oriented holiday packages to provide an opportunity to working class to shape their leisure time and holidays alike. One of the significant commercial economic trends in tourism industry is the convergence of multi-tourism sectors. Culinary tourism is closely correlated with organic food, wine, agro-tourism and subsequently agriculture. Emerging culinary tourism alliances with agriculture and wine industry is an indication of such a convergence. The growth of culinary tourism will proportionately thrust the agriculture and wine industry, leading together economic benefits. But at the same time, due to increased demand, the prices of agricultural products will go up, resulting in displacement effects and resident irritation. However, culinary tourism will keep growing, create huge job opportunities in all the related sectors, including small and medium-scale businesses. Culinary tourism will be the target sector of the tourism industry by 2035 in terms of tourism receipts, while developing countries will emerge as top-most destinations due to their natural resources and cheap labor force. Culinary tourism would encourage the restaurants to adopt more local wine produce to their menu, exploring the opportunities of wine tourism. By 2035, wine tourism will certainly grow to a great extent, providing increased job opportunities in this field and consequently economic benefits. By 2035, wine tourism will merge with culinary tourism because of their interrelated nature and would compete directly with any other tourism sector. By 2035, the urban slums dwellings would account for 1 out of 3 people in the world. This would affect the culinary tourism due to changed demands of the people. Terrorism would pose a threat but would not be the only major problem, as there would be other issues of more serious nature such as shortage of natural resources like water. Globalization would increase migration along with the cross-cultural experience in terms of food, tastes and preferences. Fusion cuisine would finally be a success after its failure in the past. Culinary tourism would be one of the largest contributors to the GDP of many countries. Wireless era would flourish and every aspect of the organization would be connected. Nanotechnology within molecular gastronomy is the manipulation and visualization of objects into nanoscale with the realm of molecules and atoms. This would give the culinary industry the leverage to develop further at lower costs. Nanotechnology would develop to micro-nanotechnology. Multinationals such as IBM is developing one half of its research development budget to nanotechnology, which guarantees tremendous growth. The work in the field of molecular gastronomy will lead to emergence of sub-sector named molecular gastronomic tourism. Now let us look at how culinary tourism is becoming a growing trend in travel. There's a growing population of travelers that have become more interested in the various cuisines and cultures from countries all over the world and are planning vacations specifically to incorporate culinary trips. One of the reasons for this evolution has been wine, beer and food festivals. Toronto's Caribbean Festival is a good example. Now in its 47th year, it's expected to draw over 1 million tourists from all over the world, much the same as New Orleans, Mardi Gras and Brazil's Carnival. According to the American Culinary Traveler, the percentage of US leisure travelers who traveled to learn about unique dining experiences grew from 40% to 51% between the year 2006 and 2013. USA Today Travel Trips states culinary tourism became prominent in 2000 when Eric Wolf, president of the International Culinary Tourism Association, presented a white paper about culinary tourism to his organization. The paper evolved into a book that documented the growing interest in food and wine tourism. With this ever-growing trend, the industry has seen a rise in the new food blogs and websites. Print magazines have expanded their online presence to cover a wider scope of food recipes and travel. Just take a look at the Bon Appetit, which is a cross-pollination of culinary and cultural events. Ontario Culinary Tourism Alliance (OCTA) and Skift published a report on the rise of food tourism, in which they state culinary tourists share millions of food and beverage themed photos daily across social platforms like Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. This increases travel consumers' awareness of different cuisines and culture, and it fuels their desire to experience them. Culinary travel-based TV shows, YouTube shows, food magazines and food and travel blogs has generated a segment of travelers seeking a style of travel in which cuisine takes central stage. These travelers want to taste first-hand the flavors they have read, seen and heard so much about. To sum up, we can conclude that culinary tourism has emerged as a much sought-after form of special interest tourism. The scope of culinary tourism is limitless, especially with the advancement of food shows through the use of technology. The changing demographics of the world has a positive implications on the success of culinary tourism. Culinary tourists are highly motivated and willing to journey to different places to try out exotic and native cuisines. New technologies also positively contribute in the growth and development of culinary tourism. I hope this session has helped you in understanding culinary tourism. Thank you.